Okay, one of the great new features of the new Easy Connect is that when you log in now, you'll be using your company login or your company email, and you'll be using your network admin login. So no longer do you have to have a separate password for Easy Connect or for Connect. So you'll just type in your network login, and you'll see that it goes through the loading process. And if you've used the older version of Easy Connect, there's a lot more data that it had to sync. This is syncing with middleware. Obviously, see that middleware is misspelled. That's something that we identified this week that is going to be resolved. So just a minor little thing, but we will have that resolved in a release that's going to be coming up shortly. So I have quite a bit of data in here that I've been using, so it's taking me a little bit to log in, but now we are logged in to Easy Connect, and you're going to see some of the immediate information first right off the bat. So the first thing that you're going to see is your dashboard. The dashboard is going to look very similar to what you saw previously. So if you used Easy Connect before. Now, one thing that is going to be glaring to you right off the bat are there are 3 tiles here that say coming soon. We are working on what those tiles will be. So right now there's a lot of back work going into saying what's going to be the most important information that we can put on those 3 tiles. Is it going to be your pipeline? Is it going to be your running sales total? Is it going to be some communication like we had with Buzz or something like that? And this is where you have an opportunity as CSPs to have some input here. What would be important for you to see right on your dashboard? Obviously, the first thing that you see is the number of appointments that you have for today. Directly underneath that, you see those appointments on the calendar. And just like with any calendar in iOS and any calendar that we had before, you can scroll from day to day. So if I can come look at the 18th by pushing the caret that points to the right, I can look at the 19th and see that those appointments. But if I come back to the 17th, one of the great features here is if I click on one of these customers, it'll pull up the data for that customer. It'll pull up that account if I click on it. So I clicked on the Toyota Center, and it automatically opened up the Toyota Center account detail page. Now, we'll come back to the account detail page later, so I'm not going to spend much time on it. I just wanted to show you that cool feature. I'm going to push the, the little house up at the top, which is your home button, which takes you back a screen. I'm going to go back one screen here to show you again where we're at on the calendar. So you can see that it's got, the contact information. It's got the appointments that I have set up for today, 2 of them at Toyota Center, as I set up a test account. But again, a cool feature here that you can click the Toyota Center. Now, if you want to add an appointment that is not tied directly to an account or a prospect, you can do that here by clicking the plus button that is on that is right there by the date. So if I click on the plus button, it's going to come up with this. I can create it as a new appointment, or I can create it as a new reminder. One thing to remember here, an appointment is exactly that. It's an appointment. It's what we would know in Salesforce as an event. And a reminder is exactly that. It's what we knew in Salesforce as a task. So better named now as appointments and tasks. So, and here this doesn't have anything to do. It doesn't tie right back to a customer, to an account, or a prospect. So if I have vacation time coming up and I want to put vacation, I'm going to take vacation October 17th, and I'm going to take it through, let's have a short vacation. We're going to take it just for a couple days here. I'm going to click save. Calendar slot's not available. Actually, I have something going on then, evidently. But my appointment now has been created. So I do have an appointment now available. It's my own personal appointment. Now, what's great is if I create an appointment in Easy Connect, it will show up on my iOS calendar. It's going to show up on the calendar that I use. It ties back to that. Now, if you create an appointment on your iOS calendar, it will not go back to Easy Connect. It only goes right now from Easy Connect to your calendar, but it will be on the calendar that you use if you create that appointment in Easy Connect, which is pretty awesome. So I really like that. Now, there's not a lot else I want to cover on the dashboard. One thing that I probably will point out here, and that is up here where I'm circling, there is a little button that's got a question mark, and if you hit that question mark, it does bring you back to the help screen, which let me close out of Draw. And it's going to take me a second to remember how I did this. There we go. So it comes back once I hit that. You can see that you can get some quick help by hitting that question mark. You know, what do each one of these things mean? So now this is a screenshot from old Easy Connect. So those 3 blank tiles are still there, which you wouldn't see, but that will be updated as we go forward. So you can X out of that. You're back to your dashboard. So another thing that's a neat feature, there are 2 ways, really, actually multiple ways to get across into prospects and accounts. I'm going to switch over to draw mode here so I can show you. You can use this hamburger menu button right here, which I will demonstrate in a second as soon as I get done drawing. Or you can see there's these 3 dots down here, which give you an indication that you can actually swipe the whole page to get over to where you need to be. So let me X out of this pen, and I'm going to hit the hamburger button. You see it brings down the options for the dashboard, prospects, accounts, sync reports, and guided page. You'll use all of these at some point in time. Hopefully use the sync reports less than normal, but you'll use the prospects and accounts. So if I clicked on prospects, I go to the prospect page. So I'm not going to do that here. I'm going to show you another version of that. So I click back on the hamburger button, or I can swipe back over, and I'll be back to my dashboard. Now, if I swipe to the left, I swipe the whole screen. Now I'm in my prospects page. So you can see immediately in the prospects page that I have a number of prospects that I've brought in. You can add prospects a few different ways. So these are prospects that you see here. A couple things to point out. It's shaded, so I'm showing my prospects, right? And it'll hold any number of prospects. If I was going to look for new prospects from iSell, I would use the Find New Prospects tab, okay? If I had a lot of prospects on here, I can sort from newest to oldest, which I'll show here in a little bit. And I can also search on them by vertical, or I can search overall on prospects that I have in the system, okay? Or finally, you can add a new prospect from scratch. So you have all of those capabilities built in here. So let me now take my pen feature off so I can show you. So under my prospects, nothing new there. So I want to sort these any number of ways. I'm under the sort tab, which I had as newest to oldest. If I want to sort them alphabetically, I can. You know, this is when you get really into prospects later. So there's a lot of different ways that you can sort your prospects. You can also sort them on industry. You can see here the different vertical markets you can use, or you can always click on all industry and you'll see everything, all right? Or you can search on my prospects and search on a specific name of a prospect and bring up just that particular prospect. And then at the far right, if I want to add a prospect, this is where I would add a prospect. Really simple here. You know, I would put in the first name. I would put in the last name. Of course, I had to pick one with a long last name. Prospect status is open in this particular place, but you can see the different prospect statuses that you can choose. Company is going to be Kurt's Widgets, and you're going to hear my dogs in the background. Hopefully they will settle down here in a second. So I'll type in Kurt's Widgets here. Target pests. Hold on one second, let me pause. Okay, so it's evening time in my house when I'm recording this, and of course everybody's pretty active. So sorry about that, we're back going again. So when I choose target pests, I have the option here, I can search. If my target pest for this new prospect is going to be general pest, I just start typing general pest, and general pest shows up. Now, one thing to keep in mind as a very soon enhancement, very quickly after the release, general pest and termite are going to show up at the top of that selection choice since they're the ones that get used the most. So you shouldn't have to search for general pest or termite or scroll through or whatever. They're going to be at the very top, but you can still use that search feature to find out which ones they are. So then we have the SIC code feature. This is something that as you're initially setting up a prospect, I do encourage you to take the time to identify in more detail what type of industry this really is, because it's going to help in the future to find out, who are we good at, what are we doing well. So what I would suggest is you pick the industry that fits best, right? So Kurt's Widgets, they're a manufacturing other. So one thing that's really cool in here, if you're out in-person prospecting and you want to and you're just door knocking and whatnot, and you come across a customer that's going to be a prospect, you want to spend some more time with them, you don't want to type in their full address. If you click on that Use Current Address block, it fills in the address of where you're at. Now, if you're in a strip mall, if you're in a large office building that covers a lot of ground, you're going to want to double check that the actual street address, the number of the address is right. But if you're in an individual building, I've seen it be fairly accurate. So for right now, you can certainly use that address. It ties to your GPS. It's a great way to do that quickly without having to type in a lot of information. So then, of course, the phone number you'll fill in right now. You'll just fill it in with the digits and no dashes. Okay. And then you can put in the mobile phone. You'll want to put in an email in here, and because there's some great stuff that you can do with email later on in this system. I'll show you. So bear with me again as I try to use emojis for my email address. Okay. And you can put a description of the business if you wish. You can rate the business, and the way I'm going to suggest that we rate our business is I would rate them on the level of intensity that you want to follow up and have touches with them. So if this is a customer that you really want, they're going to be a high priority prospect for you. You want to have multiple impressions. You want to be reaching out to them on a cyclical basis. I would rate them an A. If there's somebody that you just want to have contact with here and there, still be regular with them, but they're not high priority, to a B. And then if they're lower end, you just want to kind of just have a regular stay in touch with them, I would have it as a C. And then of course your prospect source of where did this prospect come from, how did you hear this prospect, and that sort of thing. So in this particular place, we're going to choose that it was a cold call. And then down at the bottom, you'll see I have the opportunity to save this prospect. I am not going to convert it to an account yet. I'm just going to save it as a prospect. And you see now down at the bottom, it says Kurt's Widgets. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort these newest to oldest. And you see Kurt's Widgets now move to the top left of the screen. And you see that it's rated A. You see that there's some information on it. You see my email address there, which is great. One thing that I think is really, really cool is I'm going to click on my email address. So I just clicked on the email address right from the front. It brings up the email app, and I'm able to send an email directly from here. So that is a really neat feature. So if you have the email, that's why I wanted you to have the email address. If you have the email address in here, it'll make sending your emails and prospecting extremely quick. So you see the buttons. Some of you are very familiar with the buttons that are on here. Flagging is logging a call. The down arrow is converting it to an account where you'll then create your inspections and proposals. And of course, you can delete this, which would hide this prospect then from the screen. So one thing I want you to keep in mind, one thing that we talked about is logging a call. In this particular screen, while it is still a prospect, specifically in the Southwest region, I want you to think of this as a called on button. So not necessarily an appointment. This is not an appointment that you had, but if you're out prospecting and you prospect and you drop off some information or you have an initial conversation with them, but it's not really an appointment where you do an inspection or anything like that, you're just out prospecting and you make a call on them. Or if you physically call them, this is what I want you to use this for, to log this. So in this particular place, you can say I dropped off bed bug info. Okay. Of course, we would want to be more detail on what, if we did drop it off, we'd want to try to talk to somebody, all that. But anyway, I dropped off bed bug info. Okay. Said I logged a call. But really think of this in terms of called on. This is a customer call, whether you stop in or whether you make a phone call in this particular place, right? It's not an appointment, but you just stopped in. Okay, so now if I go into Kurt's Widgets, so I'm just going to tap on Kurt's Widgets. So I'm going to tap on the name. Now I'm into Kurt's Widgets. And since this did not come over from iCell, it's not going to have a lot of the iCell information that if I brought it over from iCell that it would. But one thing you're going to see populate up here in the map, you're going to see population of 10 pins. So that's going to identify quickly 10 businesses that are located near Kurt's Widgets. So if I highlight one of those pins, it's going to tell me what that particular business is, right? So I'm going to immediately see what other businesses are directly around Kurt's Widgets. Right now, it is dropping 10 pins. After our UAT that we had in Memphis this week, that's going to drop 50 pins eventually. So I think 50 pins. With we'll have to double check on it, but it's going to drop more pins than 10, so you'll be able to see more of those customers that are right around there. So then if I'm going to come back down here under prospect status, let me get my pen up and circle this for you. Under calls, you'll see that there's this caret here. You'll see that there's this email right here. That if you drop those down, it's going to show you additional information. It's going to show you what you've done to call on those. So let's do that real quick. I'll hit calls. You can see today that I called on, I made a call on that, and I dropped off bed bug information. Okay. If I had sent an email, it would show that I had sent an email there in that particular one, but I haven't sent any email. On the industry overview, directly to the right of that, if that's where you will get your industry buzzwords. Since I did not bring this over from iCell and Kurt's Widgets is not in iCell, it's not going to identify any industry buzzwords. However, this is something that we did test in Memphis with existing accounts that we brought over from iCell, and this does populate with that information, and then company details, number of employees, revenue, that sort of thing does populate on that far left. So all of these features do work. And that is great. So now the other thing I want to point out in here that is a great little feature is that we do have the ability to edit the contact information. Okay, so if I have this contact information in here like it exists today, and I want to change that, I can go to that pencil. Anywhere you see a pencil, that is information that you can edit. Okay. So I can edit email addresses. Actually, we don't have the email address edit in there yet. That was a #1 priority list that we have added. That will be added as we go live. So that's a feature that we identified that we need to add. It will be added when this version goes out live. So you can edit that information. Okay. Now, there is going to be some additional features that are coming that I'm going to say are coming. They will be available upon immediate release, and I'm going to cover that stuff if I haven't already. So I'm going to hit the home screen. I'm going to go back a screen. Okay. I'm going to come back to where I want to convert this account. Right here. A couple different places where you can convert an account. You can convert an account by using this. Okay. Or if I go into Kurt's Widgets, right down here at the bottom, if I click New Appointment, it's going to do the same thing and convert this to an account for me. So you know that it does it from the button. I'm going to do it from this location right here. They both do the same thing. The screens look exactly the same when you do it. So if I click New Appointment here, you can see that I'm going to create an account. My target pest is General Pest because I had put that in on the previous screen. The SIC code is there. The account name is there. Now I'm going to set the time when I'm going to have my appointment. I'm going to make this appointment tomorrow. I'm going to make the appointment at 1 o'clock. Any notes, anything that I need to bring from the appointment, I will put in there, and then I will save this as an appointment. Pretty cool so far. And a lot of this, those that have been using Easy Connect regularly are used to this already. Now, what you're seeing right here is this loading screen that you're seeing is communicating back with middleware and with Mission. So right now you're going to see that little bit of a lag. It's less than 30 seconds, but that appointment was created and it tied back to Mission. So everything is there. Now, if I go back to my prospects tab, you see Kurt's widgets is no longer a prospects tab. Okay, so before I go over and show you his account, I do want to show you find new prospects. So I'm going to click on find new prospects. You see up here, this is similar to what we have today. If I enter a zip code location, let's go 66603. That's going to be in Topeka, Kansas. I'm going to select a vertical market. I'm going to select healthcare. Okay, and it's going to bring up all of the healthcare in that particular zip code. Okay, where I can search industry, but really going through this way is a great way to do it. So a couple things that you can do here. I'm going to get my pen back out. See this list on the far right? If you click that list, that moves this tab into your prospects tab. And we'll look, remember Duffin's Opticals. Okay, so I move that into my prospects tab by clicking on that button. This button, you can set an appointment and convert it directly into an account right from this button. Okay, or you can log a call, send an email directly from this button. All right, so you can do all that directly from the iSell screen, which in the past we couldn't do anything in iSell. We had to have them moved over to a prospect before we could work with them at all. Right now, you can work off of this list. Right? You can run this list, work off of this list, and as you get somebody that's warm, you can move them to your prospects tab for future impressions. If they're really warm, convert them to an account, get your appointment set up, and go do the inspection, and certainly log your call from this particular screen, which is tremendous. Something that we did not have the ability to do in iSell under Salesforce.com. So I added Duffin's Opticals to my prospects. You'll see as we go back to my prospects, there's Duffin Opticals right there. Now I can do everything that I did with Kurt's widgets with Duffin Opticals, but here you can see when I go into it, the business description is more complete. Shows their revenue, shows their employee count, when they're established, their credit rating. And of course you can see if I click on industry buzzwords, let's hope that this one has some. It may not. Yeah, some industry buzzwords in here. So you can talk their language, which I think is a great thing to know before you go in, what's important in their business. Okay, so I'm going to back out of Duffin's Opticals, and we're going to go into accounts so I can keep this a little bit shorter. Okay, so now I could use the hamburger button up at the top left, or I can swipe right. Okay, and I had created, excuse me, I had created an account Kurt's widgets, but you see up at the top, it shows me only accounts that are on today's schedule right here. Toyota Center and Chris's Retail. Okay, so those are ones that I created that I had appointments for today. If I was to click on recently created, which I will do, let me get out of my pen. So if I click on recently created, and I want to sort this on newest to oldest, it didn't come across. So this is something that right now we are aware of this particular issue. So you don't see the ones that I created and moved over, but there should be an easy solution for this. So in the event that something doesn't move over as fast, or it doesn't auto sync like we expect it to, right? Right now there is some syncing stuff that we're working on. You go up to the hamburger screen, you go down to sync reports, and you click sync. Okay? Instead of having to restart the program like we had to do in old Easy Connect, get out of it and restart it all the way, I can come in and sync what I've created. That last little screen was taking some time. Okay, so I'm out of this sync screen. I want to go back into my account screen and refresh this. And it did not show. Oh, there it did. Showed up down the bottom. So it is there, and it was probably there before. I just probably didn't. I probably just didn't sort it right. So we will go to Kurt's Widgets, which is now an account. We had made that an account. So that was operator error on my part. Still learning the system. Just saw this yesterday, so bear with me. So, some of this is going to be me, and not a limitation of the system. It's going to be me getting used to it. So now that this is an account, I'm going to go into Kurt's Widgets. Okay, and what we're going to see in Kurt's Widgets are, instead of opportunities, they're actually called appointments now, right? So they're called appointments because those appointments are when we do the inspections. So up at the top, you'll see appointments, contacts, service locations, notes, pics, and graphs, calls, which are going to be additional inspections, which we'll show you here in a second, and then agreements under each one of these accounts that you're in. All right. So with that, I'm going to stop this particular video and start another video for you so we can focus just on the account features.